Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's part 2 of the DIY Dollar Tree Farmhouse Command Center. We're going to use, for the first project, we're going to use a certificate frame, which is 8.5 by 11. And then I'm going to use this canvas with the rooster on it, but you can use whatever printable you want, and I'll show you a couple options. We're going to need a ruler. It doesn't have to be the metal one, but you need a ruler with a straight edge, as well as a Sharpie marker. And then when you want to write on it, you'll use a dry erase marker. But we have a dry erase marker on the board we did yesterday, so I didn't add it to the list. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to make this into a calendar. It's so funny because the math just is math, and I don't know why the math wasn't working. So you'll see the way I did it. I have a little space on the end. I thought I was going to be end up with a 1/2 inch space that I was going to use in the margins to put just notes, but it ended up being you could just skip that step. What I would recommend doing is, because there's 7 boxes, obviously there's 7 days of the week, I would find middle, which is at the 5.5 inch mark. And then since each box is 1.5 inches, I would do that how we find middle, and then we move over the boxes. So I would find middle, and then I would measure over for 3/4 of an inch, and then in 1.5 inch increments after that. But really my math says if it's 11 inches, I should have 7 boxes at 1.5 inches would be 10.5 inches. So I should have had a 1/2 inch left over. But it turns out that I didn't really. So I would center it, because when you put the glass back in the frame, you do end up cutting off a little bit of the box on Saturday. Okay? Which might be important for your family. Your family might have a lot to do on Saturday. So if you're going to make this for your family command center, if you have kids and stuff, then obviously you want to go ahead and make sure that you use whatever boxes you utilize. So if you've looked at calendars in the past, sometimes the weekend will be bulked together. Sometimes the weekend boxes will be bigger, the day boxes will be smaller, whatever works for you guys. Okay? So what I'm doing is making 1.5 inch squares. Now the height measurement, which is going to be the weeks, we're going to give it 5 weeks plus the place to write the months. So 5 weeks at 5 boxes at 1.5 inches will be 7.5, and then it'll leave us 1 inch left over to write the months in. So that's why you see I left a little 1 inch box at the bottom, and I'm not making the lines go down all the way. I want to leave that into big one empty space down there. Okay, and I'm doing it upside down, just not to confuse you, but just that's the way it worked out. All right. And then I'm just using my Sharpie, and this is going to be on the inside of the glass. So we're going to put the grid on the inside of the glass, which is why the margin that has the notes is going to be on the left. But again, it turned out not to work out. But you guys do what I tell you instead of what I showed you. So now I wanted to tell you that we're going to put a piece of art behind here. And what I've decided to do is to use this canvas. I'm actually going to use the canvas frame in the next project anyway. And I love this rooster picture. It is totally 100% my style. And I found an extra one, so I went ahead and I was like, well, I wanted to keep the pair that is the rooster and the cow. And when I found an extra one, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. But we're just going to put any kind of piece of art or printable or anything you really want to go behind the glass. And as a matter of fact, you can change it out from season to season. You can change it out from month to month even. I think that would be really neat as well. The only suggestion I'm going to make is to try to keep it a little bit on the light side. So as you're going to see here in a minute, we're actually going to take a little whitewash over this. This is already aged. It already has like a distressed look to it, but we're just going to add a little watered down chalk paint over the top just to kind of dull it down a little bit. And if you're using a black Sharpie, then you definitely want to do that. If you are going to keep this like black and white picture, maybe pick your third accent color, like your tertiary accent color. Like if I was going to keep this picture in there forever, I would pick like a red Sharpie to do like a red grid, so the red grid, not the red, but the grid stands out away from the picture. Do you understand what I mean? I hope you do. Okay. So you saw I've just pushed into the wood to pry up the staples, but then I used the pliers to get them out. And now when you lay it completely flat, it's going to fit almost exactly perfectly inside the frame, left and right, and it'll be a little longer from top to bottom. Now I'm not going to cut mine because I want to be able to repurpose this and change it out from season to season. So I'm just going to fold the top and bottom over the frame when I'm done, which works fine. The little clips will hold it down. But you can go ahead and cut it to see fit as you wish. Okay? And now where the canvas is folded fits perfectly in the glass on the top and bottom. And the canvas does, like I said, stretches throughout the opening from the left to the right. So I place the canvas in, I try to match up those folds, and then I put the backing back on. Make sure you pull out your hanger to make sure that your picture can actually hang by its hanger. Because here, mine was kind of like stuck and crooked and weird. So you can see there how the grid really does stand out much better. And then you take your dry erase marker and you put in the dates. What my suggestion would be to do is to get a wet erase marker. They do have them. I've never seen them at the Dollar Tree, to be honest with you, but I do have some in my house. I would put the numbers and the month in a wet erase marker, and this way you can edit the days without having to worry about taking off the numbers. But you will never be able to take off the grid because it's on the inside of the glass. Okay? So that's one of the things I really love about this picture. And again, if you ever have like a 31 days where there's, not enough days, you always double up just like you do on a regular old calendar. Okay? And for this next project, we're going to use the frame from this canvas art and one of these shopping bags from the Dollar Tree. I was so happy to find them, as well as the last piece of this garbage can that I had left over from a previous project. But you could pick up these garbage cans all the time, or you could use some chicken wire. A lot of people have chicken wire from previous projects, or they've bought around the house and you just want to use that. You can go ahead and use that, but I try to keep it all Dollar Tree products whenever possible. So I want to show you here, if you move the canvas, it does give it a different look. Whether it's black in the corners or white in the corners, or even the gray in the corners, it does actually take on a different look. So decide where you want it to be, and then I just glued the canvas down. And as I glue on the staple holes, so when you turn it down, the staple holes will disappear. And then as it's starting to settle, just pull on the bag so it's nice and taut. Okay, and then when you're done, you can cut it out. I found that to be easier than to cutting it out first and trying to line it up, because you really don't have any slack to stretch when you do that. Okay, and then when you're done, you're going to take this piece that's left over. So if you've done all the farmhouse projects with us, this piece is left over from when we did the wire basket wall thing. Yeah, you know what I mean. And it was a part where the seam was, which I thought I would utilize as sort of like the top cuff. And then I was going to bend the rest around the frame, and that's exactly what we ended up doing. So I took my needle nose pliers. First I made a clean, even edge. I cut right above all of the intersections except one. My scissor double chipped and clipped one, but we're going to tuck it over anyway, so it's okay. It worked out. But what we're going to do is I'm going to take my needle nose and I'm going to fold over one half of a diamond, whatever the top row of diamond is. I'm going to fold it over, because the cut wire can tend to be a little sharp, but the folded over wire that's treated isn't. So definitely you want to make sure to protect yourself getting things in and out of this this note holder. Now this note holder, we do have the mail holder that we made yesterday, which I said to Jimmy is I made it specifically for mail, incoming and outgoing. But this, I made it more for appointment cards or invitations, like things that you would want to keep in your command center that aren't, I don't know, just weren't mail. I guess I know that sounds stupid, but things you want to be able to see. So when you put stuff in the mail holder, it only just sticks out of the top. But when you put stuff in this mesh thing, you could see through it. So if you have a birthday coming up and it's maybe a month ahead where you can't put it on your calendar yet, then you go ahead and stick it in there so you could see it. Any appointment cards you get from the doctor or something, again, if it's a month ahead, you can't really write it on your calendar yet, so you can go ahead and stick it on this message center. and it's just cute. So I took a couple of the little tiny clothespins from the Dollar Tree, which aren't my favorite. So if you could get the opportunity to upgrade your little clothespins, I would. And also, if your magnet's strong enough, this metal garbage can be magnetic. So if you need to actually stick little magnets on the outside of that, if your magnet is strong enough, it will hold. So that's what I was trying to get to as well. And then I bent around all the wire that was over the edges, and then I hit with some hot glue. And just as an added security measure for myself, I had a piece of black grosgrain ribbon left over from a project we did this week, and I went ahead and I just wrapped it around all of the edges of the canvas. I added glue, and I thought that this would help hold the wire mesh down. You know, I figured when you're putting stuff in and out of it, it tends to get some use. So I wanted to just give it an added extra layer of security, and I didn't want to staple it. I know that would be like the smartest thing to do, but I did want to staple it. I know a lot of you guys don't have power staplers, so I wanted to just show you how you could do this if you didn't have a stapler. Okay, so I'm just going to add ribbon around all four sides after I glue down all the wire, and then and that's how we're going to finish it off. And that'll also help, like I said, not only gives a decorative edge, but it also helps hold down that wire in place. Okay? So if you're going to glue, like I glued the wire down first, make sure you use something to protect your fingers. I have this Dollar Tree double-ended silicone spatula that was gifted to me. It was somebody's idea, and they sent it to me, not to burn my fingers. So I have that in my craft stash, and it really does work tremendously, actually. But yeah, so then what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to put the hanger back on. The hanger that we took off of this piece of canvas art from the last project. It basically, this one hammers in, doesn't screw on. So when we're all done, we're going to go ahead and put the hanger on there. And then again, we set those little clothespins. And here is how it looks all finished. And I think this is the easiest and my favorite project. I know that sounds weird, right? But here's how the message center looks together. And this is just an idea of how you could set it up. I like things not to be too even, but we ended up making these two almost practically even at the top anyway. But it's just something that I thought was super fun, and it was sort of a requested item, and I wanted to be able to put it together for you guys on the cheap. So altogether, this entire message center, I think, was just under $10. I think it might have been, it was definitely less than 15, but I think it was $10. But that's it, everybody. So I hope you really enjoyed these tutorials, this series. And if you did, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family, anybody you know who might be interested in making any part of this message center. And don't forget to check out yesterday's video if you haven't seen it yet. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye!